And good morning, everyone. We're here to talk with Nate Teller, and we're going to learn all about elephant money. How are you today, sir?
Very good. Nice to be here. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Great.
So, where should we begin? Let's start with the simple stuff. For anyone that doesn't know what elephant money is, why don't you give us a brief overview? Perhaps just a little small walk through the website.
Sure. And I guess I'll start with just so you know who the your guide is on this journey. My name is BT, and been doing this for 25 plus years. That being fintech, and really enjoying the space right now. It's heating up. It's getting exciting, and so let me just show you what this is all about. Let's see.
Yes, please.
So here we are at Elephant Money, and what Elephant Money is at a very high level, it's a financial cooperative on chain. So another way to say that is it's a global community bank, and it allows anyone to participate, and you can participate in several different products / services that we offer. And then, at the core of that, we have two tokens. We have the Elephant token, which is a store of value. Currently, its market cap is around 111 million, fully diluted. And we have the Trunk token, which is 31.6 million, fully diluted. And that's a stable coin. That stablecoin is currently depegged. However, in the platform, we offer various incentives and countermeasures for you to profit off of the fact that it may be depegged. And when you purchase that token and get it at a discount, you can still redeem it for full value in several systems that we have built up. And I probably won't have a chance to get into that right now, but I'll just highlight a couple key pieces of the platform that are of interest right now. Okay. I guess starting with Elephant. So Elephant was the best performing digital asset in 2022. And what it means by that is, like, obviously there's a lot of tokens that mooned and did ridiculous numbers, like low market cap gems and things like that. But basically the measure that we're going by is what was its performance versus the top 100 digital assets. And in the case of the top 100 digital assets in the world, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, various stable coins, various large projects like Chainlink, Elephant outperformed all of those tokens in the year 2022. And so we can take a quick peek at the chart here. Here's basically the Elephant chart since June. And I think if I squeeze it a little bit, sometimes it's a little hard to see. So this is the full life of the token. It basically went parabolic in 2022. Then we had a exploit against the Treasury. No one directly lost money. The Treasury lost money, after the Treasury lost funds, the community was spooked and sold off their Trunk, and that's what depegged Trunk, because the Treasury wasn't large enough to support the liquidity pools in Trunk. That allowed Trunk to stay down. But you'll basically see that, there was only a few days where you pretty much lost money buying Elephant, and that was all in here, just in these less than 30 days. It's been on a steady trend upward. It's kind of hard to see with just the way this graph is working out. Let's see. If I change this to log, is that going to help it? I don't think so. No. Yeah, but
I think it's the time scale you're looking at. That's a problem.
yeah, it's just like so much time. But I think if I squeeze it, yeah, that's about as best as I can squeeze it. But you'll see that
I'll share it in the screen in the room. Mine has a different view. I think yours might be based on your preferences. You might have preferences saved on there.
Okay.
Mine looks a little different. Mine looks completely different.
Let's see.
Let me paste it in the room. You'll see what I mean, sir.
Yeah. Most people see it as much more like the trend is much more steep. For some reason, mine is.
I think it's your preferences.
Okay.
I think that website is remembering, whatever you set it to.
Okay. If I hit reset.
Cookies and all that. Stay up on the news.
That looks a little different already. Not much different. I think it's just the way that.
But I know what you mean, sir.
Yeah.
You guys are on the way back, and future is super rosy.
Right. So we're like, if you just quickly, we have two very deep liquidity pools. So we have, 25 million, 19 million, so, quite deep liquidity. And then that's not including liquidity on Trunk. So like $50 billion just in liquidity alone, backing all the tokens. But you'll see that clearly we've passed the line where we were like already, going parabolic. And, so I'm thinking in the next, by the math, in the next 30 to 90 days based on volume, we'll be back in that parabolic shoot. So,
that's when Bertha gets around like 150 something billion, you said?
150 trillion. Yep. 150 trillion. Yeah. So there's 1,000 trillion tokens. 500 of those are in the graveyard. Currently we have around, what is it? We have 113 trillion in the treasury. And the treasury is now the second largest holder of Elephant.
And how much value is in there?
12.8 million.
Damn. Very nice, sir.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about Trunk versus Elephant.
So Trunk is a stable coin. And
no, what I mean is, I meant as far as like if you click on the right side, you go to the Trunk page itself, the ROI DApp there. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay, right. So, right, and this is going to change a little bit today. Probably, I'm going to push this out today. Pushing out an update. But basically, you have Stampede, which is basically our 0.5% a day ROI DApp. However, it's and except that, and I really want to call it more just like a yield generator at this point. I don't want to call it an ROI DApp because frankly ROI DApps don't work, and this really isn't that anymore. And especially after futures gets launched, it's really not. If anything, it's more like it's sort of like a hybrid between a savings account and a business that you literally have to invest in. And here's where I'll probably like not spend much time on this because this model is going away. but basically, just to look at some stats, Trunk is currently at 16 cents, versus a dollar where it's supposed to be. We also have like a raffle where people can win prize. Basically, two people can win prize money every day. And in this case, it looks like they can win 1.5K worth of Trunk. And
I do have a question for that later.
Yeah, sure. And then we have, the BUSD Treasury, the Elephant Treasury, and the Trunk Treasury, which are all working together to support the value of Trunk. And then we have this redemption queue that I talked about. So there's a 1.52 million Trunk waiting to get redeemed for a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually pretty good because this used to be like over 2 million, and now it's significantly lower than that. We have a lot of,
and that was a result of the exploit, right?
The redemption queue was built. So several things were built after the exploit happened. Number one being, closing off, the immediate threat of like being able to iterate within a single transaction in a flash loan context. A single flash loan would not have hurt us, but the attacker basically wrote an elaborate attack vector, which looped through multiple times to grind away at capturing value. So the system has many safeguards in place to protect liquidity and protect value. They were only making like small percentages on each iteration. They had to do 1,000 iterations to basically walk away and push and pump like over 200 million in liquidity. The actual amount that they borrowed in the flash loan, 260 million they had to pump through to just capture 11 million worth of value from the system. Wow. That's what they walked away with. They walked away with 11 million, but that was literally over 9 months ago. So we have So in that time, we've built a redemption queue for Trunk. We've built a sort of two-phase process for redeeming, for minting Trunk. A two-phase process for minting Trunk. We've built farms, which I'll show you in a second. We built a Farmers Depot, which is an OTC desk for Trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've built futures as well. So I guess I have to quickly show you what Trunk is used for in the system. And so we have a farm here currently with 839 participants. So it's a lot. Like our total holders for Elephant is like 18,000, almost 19,000 participants. About the same for Trunk. So we have a lot of growth to still cover here, but everything with Trunk, the APR scale based on peg, based on how close it is to being worth a full dollar. So these APRs are right now we have a promotion going on where basically everything that you can pair with Trunk and stake is you're getting 10x the yield. So, which is basically 125% at peg. But if there wasn't any bonus multiplier, it would be 12.5% APR for these various blue chip tokens that you can stake. So the main thing is, yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, do you do anything with the funds that are deposited in there? Are they loaned out somewhere, earning yield somewhere?
No. So the main mechanism that's at play is that we have the Trunk stablecoin, which is inflating based on yield that it's providing. So what this allows you to do is to potentially sell off a portion of your Trunk and reinvest into the farm. So you're going to sell off half, but then you're going to lock up half. So as opposed to 100% of the yield being sold off, only 50% of the yield is sold off, and the actual TVL for the entire platform rises. So it's sort of a win-win situation. So instead of these being liquidity pools or some other type of DeFi primitive, it is a saver pool, which is basically a single-sided liquidity pool that's only used for direct redemption by the owners. So it doesn't service any other part of the ecosystem. It's the job of these farms is to lock up value in other trusted assets in the digital economy and pair it with Trunk to basically give Trunk value in kind. So, so that's the farms, and I think probably it'd be a good time to go to futures. Just talk about what futures is, because it's really easy to explain. So we currently have about 600 participants in futures. We've brought in 1.5 million in less than a month. And the way futures works, this is a bug. This is going to be fixed in this next release. There obviously rewards have been distributed, but they're not being accurately reported. So after the whole Elephant Money ecosystem is a network of smart contracts. I mean, you probably get the idea that there's a lot going on here already, and there's like over 40 plus contracts working in the background to make this all happen, and they're wired together through whitelist permissions and things like that. Like certain contracts can talk to each other, certain contracts can like borrow money from each other. It's crazy. But and the net effect of that is basically that, we have a set of primitives and building blocks, and then we have coordinating contracts, and then we have engines, which sort of, bring everything together into something that can be presented to an end user. We have contracts that are just purely there to store data in a immutable fashion, which means that like this contract it's going to store like all the data for all the global information that's like tracked here, all the particular user information that's tracked here. If I want to add new functionality, I potentially have to change the engine that talks to the data vault, and then I have to potentially implement a new data vault. And so then that engine will take not one data vault, but it might take 2, 3, maybe 4 as the system grows. But your core information, which is protected by your private keys, is immutable. Those data vaults are immutable. And then we have treasury contracts. Treasury contracts are designated per digital asset, and those treasury vaults, they just basically protect that single asset, and then they're permissioned. They provide permission for other like the engines and so forth, and sort of trusted contracts to talk to them and be able to deposit and withdraw funds. So that's how like everything kind of works. It's you can almost imagine for all of these different products, if you imagine a real bank where you would have like departments and people working in those departments and pushing data around and bits around. Instead, it's just purely smart contracts. And what this means is that if you like in my career, I've worked at Fidelity, I've worked at State Street, both institutional firms. tons of departments, tons of red tape, tons of digital systems to orchestrate money. All of this is literally happening on chain, but it's happening with the complexity of a real institutional bank. So this is the reason why your favorite baked beans contract or something like that, or all of the contracts that Stun and Breezy says is still paying, even though they're paying, but what's the value of what they're paying? Those are one contract, one trick pony things. This is the bank. And as an aside, my personal goal is to get the bank done and functional, because when's the last time you asked for an upgrade for your credit card or your ATM card? Your ATM card does a fixed set of things. It interacts with many institutions out there, from the corner store to the restaurant, wherever you want to do business, do commerce. Your debit card works just fine. So, and frankly, your checking account works just fine. The only problem is they don't pay yield. So my approach to banking is the same way. Like, there's stuff that's worked fine for many modern generations since we've been able to write ones and zeros for money. So I think as long as people can get high yield and people can get store value, this system is pretty much feature complete. Now I'm just going to have to do the Gary Gensler dance to ensure that folks who invest in this are protected for many generations to come. This is a decentralized system, so there's going to be a lot of negotiation and work to do with not just the U.S., but many countries around the world. But in terms of the proof of concept and can this thing hold money and all those things, the experiment is pretty much close to running its first course, and we have very good data to present. But the way futures works is 0.5% a day. You have to make a minimum $200 deposit, and that's pretty much it. Like, you're going to earn simple interest until you make another deposit, in which case when you deposit, again, it's going to fold in the interest that you've earned, compounding it, and then add to the principal whatever additional deposit you've made. And that works very differently from most ROI and minor contracts and anything else out there. Pretty much anything else in DeFi, you can just make a single deposit and start collecting interest. Whether that interest is real interest, which is derived from some other third-party process or some other mechanism, or whether it's just minted interest. In most of DeFi, for I guess the first two rounds of DeFi now, both like first DeFi summer, second DeFi summer, it's all been like just emissions-based interest. Emissions-based yield is predetermined yield. But this yield is real yield derived from the value of the appreciating asset on the back end, which is Elephant. So one thing to know about Elephant Money is any yield that you earn in the community bank, it always comes from a single source. It always comes from the Elephant Treasury, which basically means that the coordinated economic activity around Elephant buybacks and injection into the Treasury and marketplace action, whatever happens on the market, public markets, that all determines the price of Elephant. But you have to know that the system is working hard to increase the amount of Elephant in the Treasury, which locks up Elephant, which makes it more scarce, which ultimately leads to a supply shock, which pushes the price of Elephant up. And then if you imagine Elephant is just a if you just look at this chart, and if it's like an ever rising pile of money, let's just look at it on just the 1 day. Well, it's on the 1 day, but we'll just we'll refresh to just showing the current days. If you just look at this as an ever growing pile of money, we're just scraping off the top to pay out daily liabilities. And we got an elephant ad running here right now. So
Awesome.
So we just scrape off the top to pay daily liabilities. All we care about is staying well ahead of daily liabilities, growing well ahead of daily liabilities. And the way you want to think about it is every deposit a user makes on the front end office of the business, the front end office being like those staking contracts for whether you're staking stable coins or stable coin equivalents, whether you're staking blue chip assets with Trunk, those staking applications, fundamentally, they provide BUSD that's used for buyback, BUSD or BNB that's used for buybacks to pull Elephant out of the liquidity pools to increase the price and then lock it away into the treasury, which is a whale-sized holder that will never dump on you.
Bertha.
It will only pay what it needs to pay in daily liabilities. And that's the sort of key concept in Elephant, which allowed it to basically maintain price or at least not fall 80% like the rest of the market. And that's why we outperform the rest of the market, because for the past year, the rest of the market, they spent their time declining by, 80 to 90%, or 50%. This is like Bitcoin or something like that. Worse, more than 50%, but like definitely tanking. And we did not tank. We only went up.
Pretty hard.
Yep. Say that again.
Last few months have been pretty sad.
Yes, yeah. And in these past few months, we've regained our mojo and we're back on the we're back on the upswing. This is because BNB just took a major dump. Now I am I'm a holder of the project, and I'm also a custodian of the project. So I do have some superpowers. So basically what it means is like I can choose to use my bag to do some arbitration because I don't have to pay fees. So if I basically, what I do is sometimes I send a portion of my Elephant position to the deployer wallet, and I'll do some trading to maybe close the gap. So like right now we have a gap of a cent, I think. We have a gap of a cent between, that's like a 10% gap between the BUSD pool and the WBNB pool. So I can choose to say, well, do I want to redistribute some funds from BUSD to WBNB? Given the current situation with BUSD, that might not be a bad play. So I think now is probably a good time. Oh, okay, so let me just talk let me talk about the opportunity here for Elephant, and then we could just start taking questions and stuff. And maybe I'll start with just explaining. Maybe I'll start with just explaining what's going on with the whole BUSD SEC situation. But the opportunity here is pretty much the same. We're still in the same position as we were. So, like if I zoom out, people can see. We were below this 11 cent range for a good chunk of the recovery, and then starting in basically the fall, we started to significantly break out based on lots of developments like the introduction of farms, mainly the introduction of farms, and some other things leading up to futures, which really has boosted things quite a bit. But basically throughout this whole time period, we've basically shown that regardless of whether the market's going up or down, we're basically our own economy, which is a good thing, which basically means that Elephant Money, it actually does operate as a bank, which basically means ultimately we're this big, huge store of value with lots of different use cases. And all things being equal, we can hold water. But even, at the bottom of, at the bottom of, like, let's say right here. Mm-hmm. So, we've done about a double. We've done about a double from the bottom in terms of this recovery. And if as we travel along all of this, we have a lot more institutional eyes on us right now. And all we have to do is probably, get to just do a double, and then we'll be solidly within like the top 100. And that means that there's going to be mandatory buying. And if there's mandatory buying, then that just means we're just going to keep on increasing. And as time goes on, from an end user perspective, the number of participants here will just keep growing. Similar to like what, in our corner of DeFi, a ton of projects have died. All the clones have died. Of the ones that are left, they still have all the hallmarks of what it takes to fail, frankly. Even as promising as they look, you can't escape the core tokenomics. So you only can do things to like prolong the inevitable. But fundamentally, people are going to have to rethink DeFi. I'm not saying that the way that we're handling things in futures is the only way. I'm just simply saying that we have our way. We've invested a lot of time doing that. And we're ready to go. Like I have no problem walking through the front door of the SEC and saying, hey, I was misled by CZ. Blame him. No, just kidding. I'm walking here. I'm walking in here ready to, figure this out with my SEC lawyers that were subsidized by Fidelity and State Street. No, my friends basically gave me some lawyers to work with, and we're going to make this happen. No, and because we actually want to be a model citizen in the ecosystem, and show everyone else how to actually work with the SEC. So cut us.
So you're gonna go? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna incorporate the company and file all the paperwork and all that good stuff?
Oh, pardon me. Wrong pipe. Not necessarily. So, not necessarily. So I do have these relationships. And so I very much will at least be entertaining working with existing custodians, working with existing registrants to get the tokens and the products under the gaze of the SEC, without necessarily having to do any type of formal incorporation, because that's what they want. They want the products that people are interacting with to be listed. Right? They want what people don't get is you can put a promise. You can put a promise for anything, and let's face it, they do. Every single project out there makes promises to the community about what these assets are and aren't. what it means to be regulated is you can't just say that to, the sucker you're trying to take money from. You have to go to a regulator and say the same thing. And if you say things that deviate from what you told the regulator, or if in any way through the course of time we find out what you said was not true, your ass is going to jail. That's what it means to be in a regulated environment. And any honest person that's doing business should not be afraid of that. Guess what? To operate a motor vehicle, something I'm sure everyone on the call does, most people on the call do, there's lots of regulation there. There's regulation that impacts you as the driver. There's regulation that impacts the insurance companies. There's regulation that impacts the manufacturers of the vehicles. But let's just talk about you. You have to be licensed. Does that word sound familiar? That's all old Gary is saying. Licensed. You have to be licensed to drive. Guess what? For all the rug pulls that we've endured, and I've lost over $50K to rug pulls in the last 2 months. Don't you wish those people taking our money, don't you wish they were licensed to operate a financial services business? Guess what? What makes Bank Teller different than all those people? What makes Elephant Money different from all those people? For the majority of my career of 25 plus years in fintech, I was licensed with FINRA. I'm a licensed agent in multiple organizations, in Fidelity and State Street. One of those things I had to do was I had to take ethics classes and stuff like that. Know right from wrong when it comes to other people's money. Don't you wish the Brandos of the world and whoever else, the people running Yield Robot and all those things, don't you wish they took some ethics classes before they took your money?
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about here. So there's lots of ways to look at it, but here's my point. The people in DeFi, the people in crypto in general, who balk about regulation, all they're telling me is, you've never worked at a bank. You've never handled other people's money. If I put $1 million in your hand, you're going to feel some kind of way. I feel nothing. That's all you're telling me. So, regulation is nothing to fear. Your daughter, your teenage daughter has to walk through the crucible of regulation just to get her license before she can borrow your car. And you're glad that happens because that means she's not dead.
Amen.
Sermon's over. Sorry. I'm sorry. I get really heated about this stuff. Because it's all I've been saying from the very beginning. Through the course, I'll finish with this. Through the course of implementing this, the experiments were real. Obviously, most things in DeFi don't work. So, and obviously we have empirical evidence that shows that Elephant and the community does work. And that's not without pain, right? So, we've had our share of losses, but, on the whole, we're up. And everyone who's stuck with the platform and grown with the platform is up. And now we're at a stage where we can show this stuff. So it's not to say that uncomfortable things won't happen. It's not to say that losses won't happen. It's just to say that, hey, we're doing all of this. We're doing all this with guardrails in place, similar to if you go to a racetrack. If you go to a racetrack and you're racing cars, yeah, there's the element of risk. And there's the high element of reward. And all those things work to get, and all the rules and regulations are there to keep everyone that's on the track so that they can participate, that things can be competitive and fun, that opportunities can be had, and that everybody gets to walk away and do it again. That's the whole point of regulators in general in putting safeguards in place. And so literally when people hear Gary say, well, all you had to do was fill out some forms, literally what he's saying is all you had to do was fill out some forms. For fuck's sake, all you had to do was fill out some forms. No one's saying that the product from Kraken is bad. It's saying that you're a leader in the industry and you have to fucking lead. You have to show people the way. You have to show them the right way. You have to show your customers the right way. You have to show, more importantly, your peers the right way. And if you don't, you're going to have to pay.
But
that is what Gary is saying.
Right, but what do you think about the fact that there's no... The government hasn't really, the SEC hasn't really come in and says, okay, this is the laws for blockchain. This is what you have to follow. You have to follow. Instead, they've been going through, enforcement through litigation, basically. What do you? Don't you think?
Okay, so this is where it's high time that an OG comes in and leads instead of these dorks. Because I'll tell you exactly what that is. Gary said it in the freaking interview, and I totally get it. So if you look at the S&P 500, but more importantly, if you look at the Dow, if you look at there's and if you look at the pink sheets, there's tens of thousands of businesses of all shapes and sizes. You could be selling paper clips. Look in your house. Look in your house. And look at every single product within your field of vision. I got a laptop. I got a USB speaker. I got a pen. I got some hand soap. I got paper towels. I got a toaster, candles. Realize for every single item, there's a market leader that manufactures one or more of those items that you see. These are all types of businesses. High tech, low tech, no tech. Could be selling mittens. But if you sell an asset that backs the value creation of that product or service that you're interacting with right now, okay, I'm picking up everybody understands Apple pretty much, right? It's tons of products and services. Okay, so Apple, great example. Apple. Infinitely more complex than Elephant Money, infinitely more complex than anything that anybody's ever done in DeFi. From a business, operational standpoint, everything. There's a single asset, though, that you can use to capture the entire value that Apple creates. What is that asset? It's the Apple stock. I don't even remember the freaking symbol. Is it AAPL? I forget.
AAPL?
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't bought Apple in forever. But there's a single asset, just like Elephant Money. I've shown you quite a few different, services here, and there's a lot there, and there's things that have been retired. Or you could just buy the Elephant token. So in all these platforms, there's some governance token or some core token that captures the value of the network that they're trying to build. That network is composed of both the intellectual property and also the community, right? The thing that captures all the value is that one token. There might be another token, but there's going to definitely be that one token. You're probably going to have to register both tokens or how many tokens you have. But you get the point.
I do.
Securities, yeah. So that's it. So that's it. You have to. So you don't register the cup that you're making or the phone that you're making. You register that one asset that can capture the value of everything you do. That you can use to take cash from your front office business. Sound familiar? And you can pay back as a dividend to the people that help support you to get that product and service out to market. So that being the Apple stock or Elephant token.
And for the most part, with Elephant, you just buy and hold it, and it's a reflect token, so your value will grow as it grows, right? You'll get more of it over time.
Correct.
I forget the tax. What are the basic tokenomics again for the people that don't know?
It's a 10%. Okay, so Elephant Money is a store value token. It's 10. 1 trillion, or 1,000 trillion supply, 1 quadrillion. Half of that's stored in the graveyard. There's a 10% tax on transfer. That's paid out half to existing holders via reflection. So which basically means you'll just get more tokens in your wallet. And then the other half is paid to liquidity, and to the BNB liquidity pool in particular, which I'm glad it's the BNB liquidity pool in particular, because that contract is immutable.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was the BUSD LP, we'd be screwed. No. Frankly, I don't know what's going to happen to the BUSD. I don't know what's going to happen to BUSD. They can fight it. They can fight it, and I think that they should fight it. But I don't know how hard they can fight it if they're not registered. Now, I know that Paxos is regulated by the New York agency, and I'm assuming that they have to fill out forms for that. So why they would go through all that work and not do the same thing for the SEC is frankly disrespectful at this point. We haven't done it because we haven't been at the size or scope. And then Hester Pierce and crew did put out, well, you have X amount of years to become properly decentralized, and then you're off the hook. So if you're provably decentralized, then no harm, no foul. Gary's taking it a step further, and I think that's the disconnect between Hester and Gary. She's trying to make the hard distinction between okay, these are actually truly decentralized things, and I think she understands the impact of crippling stablecoins, because basically they're calling this choke point 2.0. So they've tried this in the past to basically and that was, if you remember, maybe it was 2017, 2018, where there was a period of time where your banks were cutting you off if they found out you were dealing with crypto. So they're trying to do that again. But they got to kill stablecoins to do that.
All right, let's go back in time for a second. I've been around for a while, but I wasn't around for Flow. Tell me about Bankroll Flow. What were you trying to accomplish there? What do you think went wrong? And what do you think you'd do different now?
Well, I think with Flow,
paint us the floor. Tell us what Flow was, what it did, blah blah blah, and all that good stuff.
I mean, Flow was more popular than Drip at its height. So the issue with Flow is that ultimately it had the same economics that are playing out with Drip right now. I saw that, but I didn't necessarily have the full experience of both, internally myself in the community experiencing whatever DeFi had to offer and trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. We didn't have the answers then. We didn't have all the tools or answers then. Ultimately, I still came up with the tools with the community internally. There's really, I don't think there's anything as good as futures right now in the marketplace, because everything else you have to accept that a business requires reinvestment, and you have to accept that every market participant in your protocol is a business owner, and that you have to treat them as such. Until you do that, you're going to have leaks. But anyway, with Flow is basically Drip. I mean, Drip. So when they took Drip, when Drip was released, he just fixed a couple of not even, I wouldn't even call them bugs. Like
How long?
like
How long?
the
How
tax
long
fault
was?
was added.
How long? How long was Flow around before Drip?
Oh, almost a year. Almost a year.
Mm.
Yeah. So
I'd
yeah,
heard about it. I was in the space. I'd heard about it, but I didn't. I hadn't gone down that section of DeFi yet. I was still in the degen yield farming and shitcoin hunting stuff.
let me put it this way. So, I'm sure he doesn't mind me bringing up his name, but like Scott the Investor, like a well-respected YouTuber, right?
Mhm.
Last week he announced, I'm officially in the red on Drip. Like you would never know that he was. You would think that he was profitable in Drip, but for
When
as
did you
much
get
as he
started with
promoted
Drip?
it and stuff, but he's actually in the red on Drip now. Like so, eventually, like so that's the thing. Flow is still, in the words of Stunner Breezy, Flow is still paying. Flow is still people still making money on Flow. A lot of my core volunteers um, are still in Flow, even though I'm not. Like
I didn't know it was still going. Actually,
it's
that's news
no,
to me.
none of my stuff, none of my stuff is none of my stuff is dead.
And Flow is on ETH, right?
Flow's on Tron.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but
See,
yeah. Bankroll is still paying. They're still I think it's less than $1 million now. But I think there's around $1 million something in there now. That's just being
nice.
circulated by the community, and people are coming. It's it's the same thing. So what I told the community was, well, I gave up my keys, so I can't improve it, right? So that was the one thing. That was the number one thing, is that I gave up the keys, so I could not. I gave up the keys prematurely.
To whom?
Just like I revoked.
Okay.
So and so that's the big takeaway, is that when I started building Elephant, I came to the realization that I'm not going to be able to give up these keys for a while, because all software needs constant improvement. Mistakes will be made. Even if mistakes aren't made, there's going to be innovations and improvements that you're going to want to capitalize on. And then finally, regulation was always a particular concern, and I wanted to be agile enough to respond to it. In the end, I think for a lot of these things, I try to measure the risk to reward, and also I want to hold myself and the community accountable. In particular, what I'm referencing is the liquidity. The liquidity is locked, and it's locked for a lot of good reasons. The number one reason why the liquidity in Elephant is locked is because under times of duress, like now, or like right after the exploit, you're going to want to make decisions. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the biggest pile of money and see and try to see a solution in that, as opposed to actually really assessing what the real problems are and fixing them. So, the net result is that our liquidity has sat there unprotected, protected, fully protected, untouched, while myself and the community had to wait for solutions to get developed through trial and error to basically restart the spark to get the engine going again. No, we're not going to raid the gas tank and that's not fixing the engine. We got to fix the engine, and we got to fix the engine, and we need that spark. That spark was futures. that spark was the Farmers Depot, but it had to be a sustainable type of spark. Like the Farmers Depot had too much of a chicken and an egg problem, where you get some momentum and get some cash injections, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot more money to really get to get the elephant treasury, which needs to be like an order of magnitude larger in value than the circulating supply of trunk. And so you require something that actually changes the paradigm and gets the money flowing, and that's what futures does, because it's stable coin in, stable coin out. I think the scariest thing is in like I don't react on fear. If I'm uncomfortable in a situation, I just take a nap. like I just need to get away from it. Let me do something productive, like work out, take a nap, and that's what I do. And sleep on it. Basically, to sleep on it and let my subconscious and let all of my brain, focus on the solution instead of just like that frontal cortex, that like right immediate thing, So anyway, the thing that's really threatening to the industry, I think, in the next 30 to 60 days is this is turning into the regulatory AMA, but I'm glad that it is, because
I have a bunch of follow-up questions for you on those.
That's what we need. Because that's what everybody needs to hear right now, and not be afraid of it. They need to understand where the problem with the problem with the current leadership in the crypto industry is that too many of them are not from banking, so they don't even know why the SEC is asking them this. They're just like, how dare you? Like the freaking, like, they're just like, acting like, no, it's not that. It's you have to understand where they're coming from. But anyway, the scariest thing is if they come after MakerDAO. Like, basically, like, if I was on the SEC's team, like, I could show them how to shut everything down. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get them to come in? I can show you how to get them in. If you wanted to shut them down, I can show you how to just shut them down. I can tell you what exact choke points you need to hit. Oh, you worried about that? No, you need to worry about this. You need to come after that. You need to come after these protocols, these people. Okay, like, so yeah, but I'm here for good. So somebody's got to actually walk through the front door. People are commending Brian Armstrong for taking the fight to court. Bruh, you're wrong.
That's the Stafu guy, right?
That's that's Coinbase.
Oh,
yeah, So Coinbase, like, hey, we'll see you in court. You're not going to win, bro. Like I said, paperclips are registered. When paperclip companies are registering their securities, like, every single thing you can buy in the store at CVS or at your supermarket or at Target, and all the services you can buy that connect to your house, if any of those things are actual public companies, they're all registered. You can't win. And then you're dealing with money directly? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? The plan for Elephant Money was always to be registered. The only difference. Let me finish it. The only difference was that, I trust CZ as an operator. I trusted Paxos as an operator. They were making the right moves. It sounds like they didn't do all their homework, though. It sounds like they got it incomplete on the assignment. Because if they're regulated by New York, I would have assumed that they would have had their SEC forms filed.
It's so surprising to me that these companies didn't think of doing that.
Play nice. No, with the, like, crypto is like a clique of nerds in a party full of nerds, or just more well-adjusted people, right? But the party is a fintech party, a financial services party. You're just in the corner, thinking you're like, you're your science club in the corner. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Yeah, I think my biggest disappointment with things in DeFi is that projects don't treat themselves like a company, like a startup. They don't do, the most basic things. I think if most projects actually ran themselves like a startup, DeFi would be in a much better place.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that makes kind of if you zoom out, that's one of the things that makes cryptocurrency and DeFi kind of like the joke at the VC party, like where you have cloud services, you have all this AI stuff across the board, you have gaming, you have all these things that operate like real companies, hire people like real companies, are successful like real companies. And then you have DeFi, and then you have crypto.
Yeah, it's just I don't get it. I don't I don't get why a crypto project is a startup. There's no difference between starting up a real company or a virtual one. You still have to do all the same things. You follow the laws that were set and all that good stuff. But people are just like, what?
Right. I think it's part of it is the impact that you can make. Like, you can really make a lot of economic impact, which ultimately means that you can help a lot more people in a short amount of time. And I think that is a little, I mean, I'm guilty of that. I think, my personal approach and why a lot of things, there's a lot of built-in things that kind of protect. At the end of the day, Elephant Money is going to have a pretty easy time of becoming compliant, and part of it, while also holding on to the ideals of decentralization and stuff. Like, for example, it's like, no, we don't have a formal company of any kind. We're not incorporated. There's no formal incorporation. So that excludes us from a ton of rules and regulations. Everyone's operating on a volunteer basis. There are bounties. There are bounties and prizes, like the prize for this AMA, for example. But those are largely coming out of my pocket at this point. We've hit a point of decentralization where no one owns 1% of the circulating supply of Elephant. No human owns over 1%. I think the largest holder owns like 0.8%. I'm just an average. I'm not gonna call it whale holder of less than 2 trillion right now, right? And I use I have like a bags off to the side that I try not to touch. And then I have like I split my bag in half, and then I have the other bag that I use for stuff to like pay out marketing expenses every month, pay out rewards, all this different stuff, pay for just the 1 or 2 conferences that I go to a year. Like, a lot of these protocols, you wonder why the price is going down. It's because they hired a bunch of people to have a party in office buildings, or to party
FTX.
Around the world, or to go to
FTX.
different parties and different conferences all around the world. That's why their token price is going down. There's no one raiding Elephant.
I think were you pointing the finger at FTX?
All of them. They all have the same chart because they're all at the same conferences, rubbing elbows. I won't name the name of the group because I really shouldn't. That would be bad. But I was trying to make them aware of, like, hey, let's just put it this way. It was a tech group, a group of builders from a particular underserved community. You can probably guess. And I said, hey, I'm also from that particularly underserved community. Would you like to see what I've built that actually has like way more liquidity than most things out there? And I'd like to give you the cheat codes so that you can build it yourself and take these strategies and use them in your own thing. You know what they said? They said, stop shilling. What? I'm just trying to show you what I built. Like, it's all open source. Here's the code. It's MIT licensed. No. No promotion in this group. But you're promoting like these like top 20 projects, you know, that they just want you to like code against their stuff. But where's the ownership or anything like that? Like, you know, the thing that I'm trying to show you, it's worldwide. Everyone's participating. Everyone owns a piece of this thing. But ownership is really important for our particular underserved community. Don't you want to talk about that? No. Stop shilling. But are you going to ETH Denver? What? But are you going to spend $5,000 to go to ETH Denver? It's supposed to be free. ETH Denver is free conference. But if you gotta have lodging and food for like 2 weeks. That's where all the money goes. I'm telling you, that's where all the money goes. People living high off the hog. You know, like Elephant Money hasn't had a single meetup, a single conference, all in the interest of saving money.
Mm-hmm.
Frugality, fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, flashy things are nice, but you know, budgets and all that.
Exactly. Like we don't need to be celebrating anything until this thing is really working and making money for everyone. And I think this past 9 months has been the process of going from something that was very promising. You know, I think when everybody was getting to Drip, they were very enthusiastic and this is going to change the world and stuff. And then we saw what it really was. I tried to tell. Well, I'm not going to get into all that, but like I already knew that it wasn't going to work. and now like through many different flavors, it still hasn't worked.
While you're on that topic, you made Flow.
Yeah,
others have taken Flow, reiterated on it, improved upon, tried to, you know, blah blah blah. Have you given any thought to looking at what others have done with what you started and seeing if you can, you know, connect the dots and maybe Flow 2.0? I'm curious.
Well, I think Futures is that, and that was built with not just me, but also the help of the entire Elephant Money community. So there's a lot of innovations in there that like even weren't like the final innovation, which is just this sort of mandatory reinvestment.
Mm-hmm.
It seems obvious in hindsight, like ultimately there's no such thing as a money tree. So Flow or Drip is a money tree if all you have to do is just plant a seed, give it a little bit of water, and let the sunlight do the rest. It's a business, and so it requires a lot more reinvestment than just a tree that's growing in your backyard, right? Where you never even fertilized it, and it's still there. And then like a lot of teams be like, "Oh, we're gonna add a casino." I'm like, casinos don't make that much money, right?
Plus all the legalities.
Exactly. So, but I mean, fundamentally, all of DeFi is like deposit and forget for very high, unreasonable yields. The governments themselves are, you know, they're very intimidated by DeFi. Like, okay, you think they're scared of like people getting scammed? Not really. You know what the governments are really scared of? They're scared of things like I don't even want to say this, but I'll just say they're scared of things that actually work that will prevent people from buying government bonds. That's what they're scared of. That's why interest rates are rising and everything else. They want to make government there's going to come a point where people aren't investing in the government or aren't investing in municipalities. And that is the real threat of DeFi to government.
Do you think, can you equate your platform with anything in traditional finance right now? For those people that aren't crypto savvy, what would you equate your ecosystem to? Or is there nothing like it?
Elephant is like gold, except it's actually going up in value. Or it's like Bitcoin, except it outperformed Bitcoin. That's number one. The platforms on the front end are just like pretty much anything else, any other dividend producing asset that you can invest in, like let's say a REIT, like for a real estate investment trust. Except the yields are much higher. The yields are much higher because our business is the flow of money. So what does that mean? It goes back to the original statement. What are we? We are a financial cooperative. We all row in the same direction. We row in the same direction. We all make money together. How do we make money? We take our various income producing sources external to the bank, right? You bring money to, like, let's not forget how a bank works. Okay, so we said our business is banking. Okay, great. What's the first step in banking? You got to have money to bring to the bank. You make more, you protect your money and you grow your money by putting it into the bank. But you don't expect the bank to be the source of the money. That's a big flaw in DeFi. The flaw in DeFi is people are saying, this is going to produce my money. No, this is not the thing that's going to necessarily produce your money. This is the thing that's going to help grow your money after you've captured it. So that's a good point. So we socialize that to the extreme. This is not the source of money, and now we've gone one step further by basically baking that into the protocol itself. You can't even compound. You can't do better than simple interest unless you compound. The only way you can compound is if you bring fresh money, as in I just got paid, I'm putting 25% of my money into savings. Boom. That goes into futures.
Break down a simple scenario for me. Say somebody comes in with 10,000, and they took it through the whole term. What kind of money would they be looking at towards the end? Have you done the math? Anything you can tell us?
And I would give a probably a simpler, more realistic example is, instead of $10,000 up front, just take $200 up front. $200 up front to futures. You pay into futures $200 a week. Now, depending on your salary, that may feel painful, but for a large set of people that are already in the space, $200 a month, they have, better than middle class income. Not so hard. But either way, you can change how often you redeposit, but let's just stick with that. $200 a week, every week for 3 weeks, for 3 years is around $33,000. Okay? So $33,000. After that, you will turn $33,000 into $1.3 million after all of the compounding at 0.5% a day. So that's the path to economic freedom. $200 a week. People spend, in their household, $200 a week is. I mean, let's see, a week that's rent. But you can have other favorable outcomes. I need to do. You know what? I need to have the back of the envelope for $200 a month, because I think $200 a month, like, pretty much people can do worldwide. So, yeah, because here's the other thing about Elephant Money that's special. there's lots of things built into the dApp itself to just about transferring or gifting people resources, tokens, whatever. So the idea is not the idea is not that we have to meet the bare minimum individual in the world. No. The system has to work for the folks that are economically sound who want to better their lives and take it to the next level. The system has to work for the community leaders. And just like, and everyone who's just like at the middle. The system has to work for the middle. Everyone above the middle is already okay. And that's another reason why a lot of these things don't work, is because like if I had $1 for every connected person or celebrity that I've tried to entertain and get into this, and they simply don't care because they're making too much money, they know what to do with, and they're not concerned about helping anyone else. It really hurts to say this, but people that you would think are concerned or play concerned on TV aren't that concerned when you actually show them a working product, and they don't even want to take the time to see if it's viable or not. I mean, maybe it's they've gotten scammed so many times or this or that, but all of our information is sort of public. But we're working on that. And so we have participants that are coming in through family offices. Have participants that are coming in through institutional, and so they have connections to these people with a little bit more. And so, hopefully we'll let the greed take hold, and all of a sudden, I want more people who are kind of like in the middle or lower to get involved with Elephant before it takes off. But I understand or realize that it's a challenge. Like, how many
While we're on that subject,
yeah, go ahead.
While we're on that subject, what would be the simplest way for somebody to get into futures from A to Z? What would be the simplest way from using a bank account, blah, blah, blah? What's the simplest way for you? You would think somebody should go.
Okay. So I think everything that's going on right now, the simplest, if you're not in the Elephant Mini ecosystem at all, then,
Well, imagine I just told a friend of mine, about Elephant, blah, 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 and he's new to DeFi. What would be, I know it's not a sexy thing, but unfortunately, every day is somebody's first day in crypto, right? So try to break it down for me, like, dumb it down for me as simple as possible. What would you have me tell, my cousin who wants to put $1,000 into futures? What should he do? Or she?
Okay, so I think the easiest way that you can go is Trust Wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So you get Trust Wallet. You got to give them the Elephant Money website, right? But you get, they get set up on Trust. They get set up on Trust Wallet. They actually buy their first crypto, BNB. They buy BNB on Trust Wallet through MoonPay. So they're going to have to KYC somewhere. So they would KYC with MoonPay. MoonPay as a provider on Trust Wallet is very solid.
Okay. I've used them.
They can do the whole onboarding process through Trust Wallet and not have to interact with anything else.
Okay.
Then and I think that's an easy way to start. When it comes to like ledgers and stuff like that down the line, they can all of the investment contracts on the front end are support transfer now.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's not exposed directly on the UI, on the contract itself, which is on the contract itself, it's still there. Like you can just do a transfer to another wallet. So when the time comes, you could transfer to, say, your ledger or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to walk through. If somebody who's already like onboarded can easily walk them through, it's like just walk them through the all Trust Wallet MoonPay path.
Is there any community resources that you could point him to? Is the some Telegram rooms are not very noob friendly. What do you think about the Elephant Room? Is that fairly noob friendly? Uh,
Uh, hard to say, but let's.
I
I'll
know.
show you. I'll just show you this. Like on the home page, and what was it? We're going an hour and a half now. Let's see.
Hey, if you got to leave, it's fine. But I've got plenty of time. I've got lots of other questions for you, man. If you have the
Yeah,
time.
let's try to burn through some questions, but like I'll try to go quicker with the questions. But like we the regulatory stuff was a big deal, so I'm glad we got through that. Let's see. There's a boot camp. This boot camp link here is good.
Okay.
There's a link tree.
Where
I have
is
to
it?
update this link tree, but there's a boot camp one, link tree boot camp, which is updated
Yeah.
by one of our volunteers, Mike Dre, and that's fairly up to date. And there will be a wiki that's coming as well. There's a wiki that's coming.
I'm sharing the link tree in the room for those interested. And
Yeah,
can you
this
share
boot camp
the
right here is
boot
pretty
camp
good.
one for me as well, please, sir? In the room,
Which one?
the boot camp one. Can you share it in the room for me as well? I don't.
Oh,
I'm,
it's right on the homepage, boot
I
camp
see it. Yes.
at the bottom.
I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm slow.
It's just in the footer. In the footer on the under the community, there's a boot camp link right above shop, the next to last link
I'm looking.
in
I
the
see
footer.
it.
It's just in the footer on the homepage, not on any other page.
That explains it. Okay, I found it.
Yeah, I need to fix that.
Um,
So one thing that's coming is a UI refresh or new UI for everything. Even in this next release that I'm pushing today, there's going to be some slight changes to the UI, but there's going to be more global changes to the UI just to simplify everything. Like since we've nailed down what Elephant Money fully is, like especially given all the regulation and stuff, like I just want to rally around the existing products that we have and get them out in front of people. So
Okay. I have another question for you.
Sure.
And this is usually I see this as a lot of people using it as a dirty word in every crypto room. It's like one of those disgusting dirty words that people shouldn't talk about. Dev fees. Dev fees. Dev fees are evil. But I think without dev fees, there is no reason to innovate. I think the biggest reason that we're seeing all these rug pulls, to be honest, is the devs aren't properly incentivized to keep working. Because why in the hell would anybody rug a perfectly working product that will pay them in perpetuity?
Well, for a lot of these things, like the trading bots in general, these were developed by broke people who just had coding skills but no real money, and they didn't have the capital to invest in their own product.
Okay. So I guess my question is, where are the dev fees in the ecosystem? Yeah, that's it. Where are the dev fees in the ecosystem, sir?
So there are no dev fees.
Okay. Why? I don't get it, sir. You have to get paid. I mean, this shit is, forgive my language, but this shit is dumb. Devs should get paid. They're people.
Hold on. I'll show you. Hold on a second.
Devs should get paid. I don't know why that's such a dirty, disgusting thing with crypto. How else do you expect these people to keep innovating?
So there are no dev fees, but I'm glad you asked, because so there's no fees in the core infrastructure for the whole system. There's there's this concept of governance strategies. And these governance strategies are contracts that anyone in the community can run. Most of the governance strategies either have permission to mint trunk outright and send it somewhere, or in the case of our staking contract, so we have trunk staking here. There is a trunk staking governance contract which currently has 1.5K that can be distributed if I click this. There's the elephant buyback strategy. This is run by a bot, but also if you click this button, it'll distribute $789. There's a trunk peg strategy and a trunk redeem strategy. These are both strategies that support the price of trunk. All of these strategies are paid for through the Elephant Treasury. So it sells some Elephant, converts it to BUSD or trunk or whatever it needs to do, sends it on its way. Then there's the performance rewards. Right now, these performance rewards, it's like max like around $500 a day. So that's all anyone managing the platform would get paid. And when I say anyone managing, it means it doesn't have to be me. In the future, it could be a foundation. But you see that you notice that these numbers are the same. These numbers are the same because it caps out at 24 hours. Like it won't just keep accruing and accruing and accruing. If somebody hasn't clicked the button, it won't just keep accruing and accruing. It'll stop at 24 hours until somebody hits the button. So a lot of people who complain about redeem strategy, for example, or the peg of trunk, it's because nobody's here pressing the buttons. And I don't care to press the buttons because, I don't care about trunk. Me personally, I don't care about trunk right now. I'm focused on the recovery. But like if you looked at when you look at this, and when I turn on trades, you see all these green dots. It's because I religiously press the button multiple times a day on behalf of the community before I built the bot that does it. And so you see, since I've had the bot out, I don't press the button.
Have you thought of gamifying that, perhaps? Something in the vein of the ARC prize, like you mentioned you had a raffle thing, perhaps triggering that, get you part of a lottery or something, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we have some gamification around the lottery and lots of incentives. We have lots of incentives, like, best performing asset of 2022.
Gotcha.
Crypto people are not realistic, or they're just spoiled brats. No, but anyway, so to answer the question though, yeah, $500 a day, obviously not a lot of money. And this is an optional smart contract that's floating out there. Like it doesn't even have to exist, right? It's just on the whitelist to pull X amount of money from the treasury. And so I basically didn't build any type of dev fees into the ecosystem other than this. And this is just an optional thing. I could take it out. I could get rid of it. The real way that I personally make money is just through the protocol. Like, so, before I really built out this protocol, most of the stuff in Elephant Money right now, through Bankroll. So realize that the community is like 5+ years old. There's people who have been with me since more than 5 years now. Community's 5+ years old. We've all made money across all the protocols that I built since Ethereum days. So started out with Party, then Bankroll, Party on Ethereum, then Bankroll on Tron, then Bankroll on Ethereum. Then there's the VLT token. There's the Vault token on Ethereum.
I need to go back and look at these things.
There's the banker. Forget all of them. Just focus on elephant. Like that's all past. It's all in the past.
I like seeing the evolution of things.
Actually, though, if you want a vanity token, I'll let you into some alpha. Like if we can get all this stuff sorted out,
Mm-hmm.
the VLT token on Ethereum, that's the sleeper. It's held its value extremely well, and it is the Vault token is going to be the vanity token of Elephant, like as in the sense that this was the thing that like was built with the community before all this other stuff. It's immutable. It's locked liquidity on Ethereum. It's only backed by ETH. No stable coins involved. It's only backed by ETH. If the Elephant community gets enriched, there are people. There's a Telegram that's protected by the Vault token. You need 500 Vault to get into the Telegram. Just all that alone, Vault's is gonna move. I think personally.
Where do we go to find out about Vault? Because this is news to me.
It's on Bankroll.network.
Do you mind sharing the link in the room for me, sir?
So Bankroll.network and Vault. Here it is, Vault right there. So Bankroll.network, VLT.html.
All right, cool.
So it's like
I just like to post these things when I'm talking about it.
Yeah, it's whitelisted on Balancer, all that stuff. So
it's on my list of things to read now. Let me move on to. I've got a couple of my own questions for you still, but let me move on to a couple from the submitted questions. I'm going to also forward them to the room. That way we can all take a look at them. Let's start with this one from Mesh. Hold on.
Let's give it another half hour, maybe.
Okay. Do you see it?
No, if you just read it out, that'd be great.
Sure. It says, do you foresee a point in the future where by necessity yield rates on futures and/or Stampede will need to be reduced to ensure liabilities do not become insurmountable for Bertha? Second question was, what's your bold prediction for the state of EM? What's your bold prediction for the state of EM by Feb 24? And what's your view of overall DeFi for crypto market broadly?
So first question on the yields. As long as the community is doing its job of actually growing, one of the things that I would just frankly be disappointed by is, and we're in a bear market. I mean, so there are people that believe that the Fed and probably even the web and even web, they're trying to keep people destabilized. What does that mean? That means if you don't feel secure, like people are, when people have a stable environment, they can produce. And when people when people feel like they're on stable footing, they can potentially invest a lot of time in trying to change things and improve things. But if people are just kept in survival mode, then it makes it very hard for them to sort of buck the system. And unfortunately, I think, I'm not trying to be overly political here, but I think we have a lot of evidence that's, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand, that, governments, especially with COVID and things like that, they have, whether right or wrong, they have exercised control over the populace, period. They have exercised compliance at a level that we have not seen and it has felt very dystopian at times. If in fact it is their goal to control and shut down stablecoins in favor of dystopian CBDCs that are already rolled out in China, then I think we have our answer to things. Okay, so but now, getting back to, and I think that was like kind of like everything is very nuanced right now, but I think one of the benefits that I provide to the community is I'm able to sort of navigate the nuance without necessarily talking about it, but just by executing. So, like, for example, we're going to have to solve this BUSD problem. I am going to ETH Denver because the BNB chain team is going to be there. And so I'm going to be able to ask questions and get support for how exactly are we going to do this? Do we even need to do this? Like, people were people all they wanted to do was speculate in the chat. And I was like, do not speculate in the chat. We're not going to waste time talking about stablecoins in the chat. I'll talk about it, happily talk about it during the AMA, but I'm not going to talk about it in the chat. But
while you're on the subject, have you given any thoughts to, you mentioned being mainstream, but have you given any thoughts to applying for these blockchain level grants to build on, said blockchain? I know a lot of these, especially side chains on ETH, have tons of incentives for established development teams to come and work on their platform. Anything like that cross your mind or in the future?
Well, at the end of the day, we have the resources, we have the money to do that. Like, as long as we do, if we just, the next 30 to 90 days is going to be really critical for the platform. There are investors that are looking for places to put their money. The fact that we could even address what's going on with stablecoins right now is going to be huge. Excuse me. Let me just clear my throat. So yeah, but let's not. I don't even know how I got onto all that, but I want to try to address those initial questions you asked. So, and that was about yield.
Yeah, how you're gonna? How do you keep it from? How do you keep the liabilities from overtaking?
The yield, the liabilities are constrained, and they per account it only pays out 2.5 million, and you have to actively compound that to get there. So you actually have to put real money in. And it caps at 2.5. So I think the worst you could potentially do to the system is deploy $1 million and then try to claim all the way an additional 1.5 million. So, which requires some amount of reinvestment, and you put $1 million in outright. So that would be tremendous for the platform in the short term, right? So, so there's all that at play. But the main idea is that as long as the community is growing, then we have people with different time horizons and different goals layering onto the system, such that and you can see this in the current graphs, that basically our treasury value is greatly outpacing the amount of funds we've injected into the system. So with this current drawdown, we still have turned 1.5 million invested into 3 million surplus in less than 30 days. So it's very important that the community not be complacent or fearful. We have to present this as the solution. Like if we do not promote this system, if we do not get new investors, like any business, we will fail. It's freaking simple. Like these people are too complacent, and they have to understand that you know getting into elephant money, it is a business. If you don't, here's the way I'll put it: if you cannot accept that elephant money is a financial cooperative, and that's a kind of business, if you don't accept that you're getting involved in a business, don't put your money in. Don't put your money in if you can't get one other person to get in after you. And it's not because it's a Ponzi, it's because it's a business. It's because we need customers. Like these burgers are delicious. You should try these burgers. You're not a good patron at a restaurant if you can't bring one other person in, let alone your whole family or your birthday party. Would a business want you that you only order your one thing and then you leave and you don't come back for 6 months? Or would they rather have a customer that actually likes their food, that comes on a regular basis, and actually brings their friends and family to that establishment? Which customer do you think that business wants? If you're just going to come in and all you're worried about is your little deposit and you're not interested in helping Elephant Money, don't come. So
next question for you, my friend.
Yep, go ahead.
This is from, I cannot pronounce his name, Zedjan. Sorry. It says, Please make things clearer for me or correct me if I'm wrong, but I observed that if I claim my rewards instead of compound, the amount claimed gets directly deducted from my original balance. Doesn't it seem that I'm just depleting my starting balance? Yes, that's the question. He's talking about the futures,
right? And so that's the point of futures. That literally is the innovation. If you put $100 into a savings account, and on the second day, whatever the interest rate is, whatever it says, if you withdraw that, your balance is going to go down, and you're going to start right back at ground zero. So, in your bank, your bank's going to compound daily, or maybe even weekly, depending on whatever type of organization you deposited your money in, right? But if you withdraw your money from your savings account, it goes down. It doesn't go up. So this is a hybrid between like a savings account and the best business in the world. So you have to put your money in. You have to invest in your business, let it run, make profit, and then to realize that profit, you have to make another nominal investment. So a nominal investment of $200 a month or $200 even every 2 months, whatever your schedule is, you get to set that. But basically, you have to think of that minimum $200 deposit in futures is it's like paying dues, except you're paying yourself. So, all that money gets credited to your account, but it's sort of like, no, if you want to profit from this business, you got to pay dues. You get to set how often those dues are paid. If you compound daily, you make like 517% APY. If you plus the $200 added to your principal every single day. If you do it weekly, it's 500%. I think if you do it monthly, it gets to around 400 something percent. So you get to set the pace, but that's how the system works, so that it actually operates as a business that actually is getting reinvestment versus just something that's completely unsustainable.
I see. All right, next question. This is from Surplus Money. I learned that once a new user bonds new trunk, 25% of the funds are used to buy Elephant, thus creating price pressure for the Elephant token, which is beneficial to the holders. But isn't it a disadvantage isn't it a disadvantage to Stampede? How will it accumulate the 205% APR for each investor when upon depositing 25% is already gone?
Okay, so these questions, these type of questions are like really well answered, like in Crypto Stew's latest futures article, which is documented. Like, so everything works like futures from here on out, pretty much. And so, and what that person is referencing is is pre-exploit tokenomics,
Okay.
which may or may not be in the white paper, but definitely not how the system works now. So I'm just going to table that one and ask them to go to Crypto Stew's. Everyone should read Crypto Stew's Medium article on futures, because futures works a particular kind of way, and Stampede will work in a similar fashion after it gets deployed in the next 24 hours.
Beautiful.
The new version.
Next, 1 second. Let me find the next one. What is the difference between the passive and active elephant graveyard? Also, what does the elephant treasury absorb through minting activity and reflection rewards received from the incoming trading volume?
Okay. So Stew's article is going to work for that, but in general, the elephant graveyard receives 25% of the transfer tax. So transfer tax is 10%. 50% goes to holders. The graveyard owns 50% of the tokens, so it's going to get 25% of the transfer volume, which basically works out to 2.5% of every transfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the treasury, similar story, and it's currently over 10%.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like 0.5%. The treasury is gonna currently get like around 0.5% of all transactions, and then 5% goes to liquidity to the BNB LP. So that's basically how that works. I don't know. Was there other part of the question?
No, you answered it. Okay, next one for you. This is from Ron. What are the opportunities for developers to contribute and get involved in the ecosystem? Like he uses an example of EMP money, where people are always building on top of EMP money, kind of like it was supposed to be with Drip, where people were supposed to use Drip as a
building block.
Right. So what are your plans to open your ecosystems to that, if anything? Have you thought about it? And if you have, how does another project get in contact with you to say, hey, I love Elephant Money, I want to build on top of this shit. Where do I get started?
I think the easiest way to get started is that like every project should have a treasury, right? And Elephant performing better than Bitcoin should tell you something. So the easiest thing you do is for any project is just to allocate some funds. If you're going to allocate some funds, can you even what does that even look like? If the SEC has their way, what is that going to even look like to, a lot of teams have a lot of the treasury in stable coins. Okay, what's that look like after all this mess? So wholesome elephant, you're not going to go wrong. Like your project can pretty much do anything if it has like one of the best performing assets from a growth perspective. And it's a way for people to have a call option on, like, it's a way for you to offer a call option on Elephant by, simply including it in your treasury, so that people will be incentivized to use your platform, versus, like, if you don't include Elephant at all, then people might be like, oh, well, I'm just going to use Elephant. But if you include it in your treasury and there's some upside that can be gleaned from you holding Elephant, then it's like, okay, maybe I'll give this project a little try, but in general,
are you planning on doing anything? I think he means more like in an official capacity, not just,
That is an official capacity for, holding shares of something is pretty serious and pretty official. Fair enough. Integration should not be complex. Integration should not be brittle. It should be robust. So literally all you have to do is just have a contract, hold Elephant, done. If you, and then you can sell some. You can do exactly like I showed you those governance contracts.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's special about those governance contracts is that they don't have to pay taxes. Otherwise, you can integrate Elephant, and have your governance strategy and stuff powered by Elephant that you pre-bought. So like if you do whatever you do, but you say you slide 5% of the incoming funds for whatever your protocol does goes to Elephant, and then you can leverage that Elephant later in time where it's worth a lot more, because it's designed to be like, again, you have to look at the chart. You have to say, okay, this chart has not, even in the worst of economic times, this chart has outperformed everything else in existence. Like literally everything else in existence, because what I didn't say is that, it also outperformed the S&P.
Very nice.
So, it's only going to get better the more adoption we get. So adoption is really the key here. Other than that, like in terms of growing the team, I'm just focused on buttoning things up, and just because of the regulatory environment and simplicity, it's easier if I'm dealing with paid contractors that do exactly what I ask them to do when I ask them to do it when it comes to the code. Because I have, pretty much, I've been coding since I was 10 years old. I've been coding in a financial setting for 25 plus years. A lot of the reason why all these projects failed is because of, frankly, opinions of people who have no experience in the industry. So I've never had to deal with that. Because of that, you suffer with a less than ideal UI, but you use a UI that actually gets the job done. We had an exploit which involved a lot of effort, a lot of effort and a lot of trial error by the attacker to get just relatively a small amount of money. We've been able to show that we've been able to attract and retain money. So those are types of things that, like, I'll say this: Elephant Money is not for junior programmers. Like, we're not trying to take if I ever did have to hire somebody, it's going to be the best of the best, and it's going to be when we're like $1 billion. Like if we get back to our all-time highs, that's when I'm going to be bringing on a lot of team members, and they're all going to be senior, and we're going to and I'm going to be extremely hard on them. If you can't get your work done, you're fired. Like, it's that type of situation. because what I require for the community at the level that we are now, like understand that Elephant Money is the best of the best. Literally, empirically, it is the best of the best. Everything else is dead. Everything else is not making money. Everything else performed less than Elephant Money. Those are facts. Those are hard facts. So this community requires the best. And to get the best, you got to be able to afford the best. Else the best is just going to build their own stuff, right? So unfortunately, that's where we're sitting. Like, it's not. Oh, and by the way, yes, I'm one of the best in the industry. Have been.
I like that.
It's just a
follow-up question for that.
We have to call a spade a spade. We have to say what this is. Like, the numbers and the action have to line up and make sense. It makes sense that Elephant Money is still standing because I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm a MIT trained computer scientist with an AI and computer graphics focus. I saw all this AI stuff taking everybody's jobs a long time ago, which is the reason why I started doing cash flow for all 5 years ago. Make it make sense. I'm just telling you why it makes sense, and the numbers support that. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Next question.
It's been mentioned that people can. Can you hear me? It's been mentioned that people can enter the daily raffle when they trade Elephant or by minting Trunk for the life-changing rewards. What's the minimum trade limit to enter the raffle, and what kind of life-changing rewards can one get? He's got a couple other ones, but that's the one I like the most. Go
on. So that's dependent on volume. So it looks like right now you can win 1.5K a day for this prize. This number has been much larger in the past. It's based on participation. Participation right now is very low in Stampede. That will increase once Stampede is released. The minimum deposit for Stampede right now is 5 Trunk. The minimum deposit for Stampede once the new release is pushed is going to be 200 Trunk.
And so what's the dollar value on those?
16 cents right now. You see it right here.
Okay.
So that's so we have some work to do to close the gap there. We're about 5 million in the hole to bring that back up to peg. But like, if you saw with UST and other stable coins, if you just try to defend the peg directly, you're just going to provide exit liquidity. So the whole point of futures was to be able to take on income to grow the Elephant Treasury without having to support a DPEG stablecoin. So, but and I'm gonna have to talk to. I really don't want to speculate, so I'm in the dark as everyone else on this, but I don't think like, for example, Paxos's control on BUSD is 100% outright. Like, there's like, I think on the BEP20 side, I think that there's lots of ways that Binance can support BUSD, or at least support the existing circulating supply of BUSD. While they're in the litigation and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
All right, I've got one last question from the audience, and then we'll go from there. This one's a little bit tricky one, but It says many investors are reluctant to invest in anything related to BT due to past experiences. I don't know what those are. I don't care. Blah blah blah. But how do you ensure that that Elephant Money protocol is bulletproof against? You've already covered a lot of this, anyways. But against anything potential, what are you doing to prevent any future exploits? Blah blah blah.
Okay, so I've been in banking for 25 years. Exploits, hacks happen all the time. In traditional banking, we have something called insurance, right? That covers those things. So people are made whole under the covers sometimes without you even knowing. Sometimes there's losses that happen that you don't even know about, right? It's just part of the machine. In DeFi, you see everything, right? In the case of the elephant exploit, there was insurance. People that did lose money on Trunk were made whole who actually paid for insurance. So like I said before, a lot of people on this call, you drive a car, you pay insurance for your car. You can buy insurance for Elephant, and remember that no one lost money. No one lost money. Let's look at the chart. No one lost money on Elephant unless they bought in these days here. So, and you only lost money if you sold. So you could even bought here and you're still underwater technically, but you haven't lost money until you actually realize those losses by selling. So that's the story with Elephant. On the story for Trunk, if you actually paid for insurance, which was available before the time of the exploit, you also did not lose money. And in a similar fashion, you still have not lost money on Trunk unless you have sold. It has been the case that in all of my projects, individuals have never lost money. You've only lost money if you sold when the token was down. You only lost money if you got in late, which unfortunately was the case for Banker and Banker X. But it's not the case for all. So if you were in credits, so the reason why the reason why the Elephant community and the bankroll community are as large as they are, and the reason why we have so much TVL is because the reality is, and I'm going to say this very as simply as I can, the reality is that there are haters out there who want to point the finger at someone else instead of pointing the finger in the mirror. Exploits and things like that will happen, especially if you're pushing the envelope, especially if you're leading the industry. Let me remind you that the gains in Elephant for 2022, even though it wasn't like 10x or crazy, I mean, it was actually 212%. 212% for 2020, one of the hardest years in DeFi financial history. And we did a 2x when everything else did 80% down. Over here, it was like 5,000%, right? If you bought Elephant at the very beginning, 5,000%. If you measure it from here, it was 1,000%. Right? So that's the empirical objective truth. Now, the subjective part is that there are people who like to be salty and blame others. There are people who, you got in late, you got in a bad time. We understand. It happens to everyone. But do you think I'm building this for people, for short-term minded people or long-term minded people? If you are a short-term minded person, this is not the project for you. Especially if you want to buy elephant, you're going to have to pay 10% taxes in, 10% taxes out. That is not designed for short-term thinking. So I'm going to tell you now, if that's your goal, don't even bother. Or at least don't talk to me or waste a bunch of time in chat annoying people. That's number one. Number two is that we're innovating in a space. There are risks involved, but overall, there have been no rug pulls. There are no exorbitant dev fees. So what are we really talking about here? Like, I think we're talking about shit happens. The project hasn't gone away. The community hasn't gone away. So there's a minority of people who are very vocal and frankly like to talk shit. Yeah, there are trolls out there. There are people that have nothing better else to do but to be negative. There are people who, you gave your money to scams. You would rather actually get on air, and I'm talking to particular YouTubers, you would rather get on air and promote next Joe Blow from Ukraine. Not you, I shouldn't say that. But from somewhere, not from a first world country, and give them their money undoxed. You don't know how long. Okay, they haven't worked in the industry. They haven't built shit because they're literally delivering a clone of the last week's clone, and you're giving them $2 million of TVL instead of that money could have been invested in something that's actually tried and true with a doxed dev, not afraid to show his face, with a community that's been here forever. But you rather build up some no-name Joe Blow and then expect a different result than what you got. And I've been guilty of that too. So no, I'm not that one. I'm not going to pander to you. And I'm not going to make you feel all warm and cozy. Like I said from the very beginning, the crypto industry does require cleanup, top to bottom. I'll say it again. The crypto community deserves and will get the cleanup that it needs, top to bottom. The attitudes of the investors, the attitudes of the creators, it all needs to change. And we need to get real because times are hard, and we are actually providing technology that can change the world. But it will never happen. And I think Gary is pretty much showing you it's not going to happen unless we do start doing things the right way. These guys are shook. They're shook. They're not ready for this. They're shook. They're like trembling in their pants. Don't know what to do. They're scared. What are you scared about? Fill out the fucking forms.
What are you most proud of, sir?
My children. That's the easy one. That's like I'm most proud of my children. I'm most proud of my family. I'm proud of yeah. I mean, that's it. Like, that's where you take pride from. Legacy.
What do you regret the most?
What do I regret the most? Sometimes I regret the fact that I'm gonna keep it 100. Like, I regret the fact that did I work for the man too long, and did I just not, did I not get out there soon enough? Because what I really think of, and again, what I'm most proud of is what we're actually doing for the children. Like, this is not going to necessarily move the needle on our lives. But I think when you look at what's going on out there in the world, you realize that, oh my God, I'm a Gen Xer, and, the average Gen Xer is not living as good as the baby boomer, right?
No, far from.
and it gets even worse going down, you know? And so the question is, how do we reverse that? And then you get chat. Okay. So you get something like Chat GPT, right? And you get a
Mm-hmm.
million people who use it like in the first couple of days. Fastest adoption of technology in history. But here's the thing you don't realize is you're hearing about all of that, and those numbers are being driven by content creators. They're being driven by people in a position to tell everyone else who's not doing it. And so what you realize is that as for as many people are using ChatGPT right now,
Mm-hmm.
there's more people that are not, and they're going to be negatively impacted in fairly short order. Like Bing is already GPT, like basically GPT-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting to a point where like it's in the next, this stuff is moving at an exponential rate. Like Midjourney will start getting like cheekbones and hands right, and then it's over. Like it's like the art, like you'll see these amazing things from Midjourney, but then amazing images of like fantastical things, anything you can imagine. But if it shows a person or even an animal, the thing will have like 20 fingers. It'll look freaky as all hell, and it's because the geometry of a hand is just, I think your hand has like 28 degrees of freedom. Like it's crazy, even more. That's like a simplified 28 degrees is like simplified, but like I think it's like 60 something. It's crazy. So you see tons of hands and pictures, but they're all presented in different ways, so it never figures out that it's a hand. And then if you constrain it to like say a group of pictures that are tagged nail models or hand models for rings or hand models for gloves or hand models for nails, then all of a sudden the hands look right because there's a lot of data and it's constrained. They're presented in a similar fashion, so you get a proper proportion for the four fingers and the thumb and all that stuff. Anyway, but that's all to say that jobs for your kids and stuff, it's gonna be a different world. It's just gonna be a different world, and millennials are moving back with their parents, let alone Gen Zs and kids by Gen Zs and kids by millennial. You know what I mean? Like it's already going backwards already.
What are you looking forward to the most in the next Okay, same question I just asked before, but let's look at it in the future tense. Fast forward a couple of years, what do you think you'll be the most proud of, and what do you think that you might regret if you don't take advantage of it? I'm sorry, am I killing you, man?
No. This is a tough question. I really don't think in those terms. I am really just I'm literally just a workhorse, a doer. I haven't taken a vacation in
Fair enough.
literally 4 years. Like I haven't taken a proper vacation other than take my children to visit their family, like in literally years. I've been slaving over this community for years. Like after the exploit, like I've literally been working nonstop for like 9 months. But even before that, like in the best of the times in my career, whether it be my ex-wife or I was like, people have to beg me to take time off. No, I'm literally just I'll be happy if we can pull this thing off, and that's going to require the efforts of everyone, and that's going to require everyone rowing in the same direction. I guess the simplest way to put it is, you know, I live pretty simply. Like I live in a 2-bedroom apartment that I moved into after I got divorced. You know, I still take care of my kids every week. I see them multiple times every week. My 2 children, and you know, I haven't done anything lavish. I have not visited anything other than a conference since starting all of this 5 years ago. There's tons of places I want to go that I haven't gone. There's tons of places that have conferences and really lavish places like Bali and all that stuff. Even just something sort of straightforward like going to Singapore. I got friends from Singapore, but I've never been to Singapore. Like simple stuff like that, I've never done in this 5-year time span. Though it would have made all sense in the world to do it, but I know that getting the code done is and making sure that this thing can grow is what's important. So I'm just focused on that. So my win is when everyone wins. Like, so the I'll be happy or proud, whatever you want to call it, when we do our first 20x. Awesome. That's my goal. Like there's nothing short of that. That's all I care about right now. Navigating this regulatory minefield.
Kerfuffle.
Right, because like literally either like the way they're coming at us, this either all dies or we make it happen. Like now the SEC doesn't have control, but what people need to understand, okay, so to allay fears, they only have control of Americans. So if you really feel some kind of way, or if you really want to be rich, just move. If you're in the United States, if you really want to be rich and you don't want to hear any of this, just move, because the rules in the EU, they have no such issues with stable coins or anything like that right now. Perfect. So, yeah. So would you make sure that you're truly upwardly mobile, you know, for your kids, for your future? And I think that's an easy answer.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time, sir. Is there any closing thoughts you want to leave us with? I don't want to take too much more of your time. I think you've answered everything and then some.
No problem. People. Some people say word salad. So if you're listening, I know you are. Yeah. Tons of word salad today. No. No.
This was awesome. My dog has chosen.
Yeah. The dog wants to go out.
No, it's not that. 1 second. Hey, Frack, question for me? 1 second.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Just grabbing a coffee. What's up, BT?
Good. I'm good.
Pretty good AMA, man. I enjoyed it. I've been here the whole time. I'm on my 3rd coffee, but it is definitely you guys fucking did a good job.
No, I did this on no coffee.
Really?
I wish I had coffee. But no, yeah, so closing thoughts, just, you know, even, okay, so I'll leave everyone with this. This is not hard, you know. The ones that have came before us, for us to enjoy the level of comfort that we have in our lives and things like that, the things we take for granted, that was truly life is hard. For this, we just have to stay the course, do what we're doing. I want people to know that we'll get through this hurdle. I truly do believe, and I don't care if he hears it, Gary Gensler is someone who takes his job seriously.
He does.
And
he seems like a true believer.
Yeah, and so in his job seriously, not in crypto. Crypto is a fun experiment. I mean, he taught crypto. He likes crypto. And he's literally saying that the easiest thing for crypto to do for themselves at this point in the maturity, okay, FTX had Super Bowl ads. Okay? That should tell you everything you need to know. Like, we're big enough, the industry is big enough and mature enough where if people in positions of power, our elders, fuddy-duddies, whatever, if they ask you to do something, you need to respond, and you need to do what's expected. And if you don't want to do what's expected, then you need to try to work within the system before entertaining other alternatives. And that's
everybody wants to go break the wheel, reinvent the wheel instead of just, working with what you got.
Right. Just working with what you got. And in this case, again, if paperclip companies are filling out these forms, then, the banking of the future, the replacement for the banks definitely need to fill out those forms. And that's all to say that is, I think cooler heads will prevail, and we'll just get through this, and it'll work its way out. And so I think the people shouldn't be worried, and I think in particular with the BUSD stuff, that will be resolved, and that'll be a smooth transition as well. Again, everything that we're doing is in software, so it's easy just to you make the required changes, you test it, you deploy it, it's out there. So it's not like we're changing things that were meant to be changed. So everyone should take some solace in that. Like, people should be like, "Oh no, the world's over." It's like, no, we're at the end of the day, we're just going to upgrade software. So
one of the biggest things I find in a lot of these crypto rooms is that people keep saying they want contracts renounced. And that's one of the dumbest things I think any developer creator can do. I mean, you renounce a contract, now you can't innovate, you can't change, you can't improve. It's just, I think if you're serious about a project, you can't renounce a contract, because if you renounce it, what's the point of continuing to work? Because, I don't think there is ever going to be a single God protocol that will just go from the get-go, and it'll be good for the next 1,000 years. I don't think that's such a thing. It'll be just looking back, we'll have a tree, just like how everything else evolved.
Absolutely. And as you say that, I literally think of a service that I could offer to developers, but basically a liquidity management service where you could do simple things like, I want to change the back. I want lock liquidity, right? So I'm using this service, and so I have locked liquidity. But hey, a regulatory change happened. I want to convert from BUSD to DAI, and by just pressing a button, single button, I've converted my BUSD to DAI. I've switched the liquidity in the scrap. Like right now, we don't have that luxury for Elephant because we have lock liquidity and it's owned by the token. So it's like super dumb lock liquidity. So, but what if we had smart lock liquidity? It'd be amazing.
You know, I really like the staking infrastructure that Cardano has, where it's non-custodial staking. You're just allocating your rewards to a pool. Instead of you getting the rewards, they get it. Your original bag is never at stake. You know, it's in your wallet. So everything that's in your wallet, you can give proxy to. You can assign it to a pool and say, okay, my 5.5% of ADA that I'm supposed to get a year, you get it instead, and in lieu of that, you're going to give me your tokens for blah 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 blah. You know, blah blah blah. But what I think is so innovative and so awesome, and that nobody's using, is the fact that it's all non-custodial. You know, you can any funds that are in your wallet are technically earning interest, but it's being allocated to somebody else, right? And the only thing you could ever lose is the interest. If I have 1,000 ADA in my wallet and I want to send, 200 to somebody, that reward is automatically adjusted, blah blah blah, and now they only get the interest rate on blah. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
I keep waiting for somebody to do something like that in one of these
on the EVM compatible chain.
Right. I think that would be super cool to just have actual non-custodial staking, because all you're really doing is giving them the right to your interest.
Right.
And that's the only thing you could ever lose. I love that. I'm waiting
Sounds
for more
good.
Of that. Anything else, sir? Did you want to take? If you want to take questions from the audience, you can. If you're not, that's fine. It's been a marathon. I understand.
I think we got all the
You've been awesome, man.
Pre-submitted questions answered. So
no, there was like a couple thousand, but but we didn't get all of them. But I picked all the ones that I thought were pretty good.
Well, thank you for being such a gracious host and pre-screening the questions and just make so that we get the most bang for the buck in our time. I mean,
yeah, that's I don't like AMAs that are I'm semi-structured, I guess.
No, it's awesome. So you're gonna it's basically the AMA will be posted here. And I guess
I'll forward it to you. I'll give you the video as well. I'll have the audio and the video.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Thank you again for doing this. Perhaps we can do it again in a few months. Catch up again and see where you're at.
For sure.
Amazing. Thank you again for stopping by. I'm gonna stop the recording, but I will stay in the VC for a little bit if you guys want to hang out. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for hanging out. All the pinned questions are the people I'm going to send money out to. If your question isn't pinned, you didn't win. Better luck next time. Next one is Fortune Hunters Wednesday, I think. I'll see you in the next one.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.